You know, each and every Friday, our friends at Local Waste present a little something we call Trash Talk. Earmuffs on, kids. This one from Fred, who wrote into talk at ryanjesperson.com. He says, things are pretty heated right now in Alberta, so I figured I'd send you a trash talk in case you wanted to get people all worked up about something less serious. Music to our ears, Fred. He says, I hope all the Flames fans are ready for the Oilers to put up 7 next game. He says, I couldn't imagine not being able to beat the Senators. It's sad, really. He says, I feel bad for all of you. Sincerely, an Oilers fan. That from Fred, who didn't want me to use his name because he doesn't want to be held responsible for any associated jinxes. Tough call, Fred. It's your call. You're on the record picking a fight with the Battle of Alberta. His name is Fred. How about this one from Tyler, who wrote in? Tyler says, I'm a Christian, and I'm appalled at what's transpiring at the so-called Grace Life Church. In Jesus' name, let's infect everybody. Ass-hattery abounds at that church. What kind of kangaroo court is going on here with Alberta Health Services and Alberta Justice? Ryan, what would have happened if a mosque or a marginalized group that wasn't white pulled this kind of shit? They would have shut them down and called the army. This is just another example of our fearless, gutless leader. That's right, Jason Kenney looking at you, mister, trying to please everybody while putting us all at risk. Thanks for the increase in transmission, Jason. Angrily yours, Tyler. This one from Judy. She sat on it. She thought on it. After our exclusive with the mayor and the deputy mayor of Lesser Slave Lake that led to Pat Rain, the MLA, being booted out of Conservative caucus, you're going, oh, we're going way back. Judy says, as soon as the mayor of Lesser Slave Lake revealed he's a UCP member, I got suspicious. She says, I've been thinking about it. Don't you see? This is all part of the theater. The Conservatives realized they needed to gain back Albertans' trust. Now, one of the biggest issues they have is the parachute candidates. They're all being discovered. How many UCP members of Alberta's government are actually residents of the ridings they represent? This publicity event was just their first attempt to gain back our trust, gain our sympathy votes, and it looks like Albertans and the media are falling for it. That from Judy. Interesting take. I love this one from Ragey Christina B. She says, let me start by saying I was green before it was cool and long before it was a political catchphrase. I helped save the whales, the ozone. I raised awareness for the rainforest as well as Clayoquot Sound. The carbon tax is a load of shit, says Ragey Christina B. The environment minister's crappy canned responses were crap to the max on your show, Ryan. My house was built in 2013. It's poorly insulated. We use a space heater. And instead of telling me to upgrade my 7-year-old home, encourage builders to stop building crappy spaces. Public transit? No. There's no way I'd feel safe. And I'm white. Imagine being an Asian woman or a Muslim woman. Not a chance. Buy a more fuel-efficient vehicle? Is this guy for real? We're middle class. I've been driving an 06 Toyota for reasons like it runs fine, I can't afford a new payment. What's the carbon footprint of manufacturing a new car versus buying used? Stop telling me I get more in rebates than I pay in carbon tax. It's BS. Consumer goods go up in price. Nobody will absorb the price increase of fuel, heating, cooking. They'll pass it on to people like me. Tax the coal exports heading to China. Tax the rich who live in homes typically far larger than necessarily. And lastly, nobody's talking about the fashion industry, the next largest polluter and emitter. Stop attacking Canadian oil and gas, from Ragey Christina B. And this one, we had to dial this one back because Scott's got a bee in his bonnet. But some lines even we can't trash talk, even right here. Okay, so Scott, I apologize for the omissions and the edits, but I had to, buddy. He says, Ryan, here's my best effort. Whew, buckle up. Scott says, I gotta be honest, every time Alberta's premier opens up his mouth, my body tenses with rage. What an embarrassment. I'm particularly outraged this week, though, as an educator and a parent of a child who would be starting kindergarten this year. This trash heap of a curriculum is supposed to come into force. What really gets me is when the premier starts spouting off about how awful he thinks education is because of made-up issues like Discovery Math and his quest to end constructivism. Can I remind you, sir, you were booted out of Bible school? He says there's no no such thing called Discovery Math. No curriculum anywhere directs teachers how to teach it. Alberta remains solidly in the top echelon of jurisdictions for math, science, and reading scores tested internationally. You could try citing your sources, Jason. I don't know to justify this whole shamble mess, but we all know that all you're relying on is Wikipedia and core knowledge. The official opposition, infinitely more qualified and educated than you, which must drive you nuts. But they do respect experts when it comes to K-12 education, practicing teachers, and dedicated researchers. Why don't you give us all a break from the gaslighting and the lies and put this abomination of a curriculum where it belongs? In the shredder! That from Scott, who went on to say, thanks for Real Talk. Keep it up. We promise we will. After a few days off, next Wednesday, live, 8:30 Mountain, 10:30 Eastern. We'll see you then. Have a great long weekend.